Welcome to the Ripple Effect Martial Arts Podcast. Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. And I'm very excited to have a very special family with us today. This month marks the 10-year anniversary of Ripple Effect Martial Arts. It's founded in Fort Collins, Colorado in August 2013. And now here we are, August 2023. And we're lucky to have some of the very first students ever to enroll in the school. So let me introduce the Wade family. Thank you so much for coming, you guys. I bet there are going to be a lot of stories. Can we just start with, how did it happen? How'd you hear about Ripple Effect Martial Arts or get interested?
Hey, Joseph, you want to talk
Yeah.
about?
So I think it was my fifth birthday, or was it my sixth birthday?
Right before your sixth? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I told my mom that I wanted to do karate. I thought it was really cool. I had a friend who did a different style of karate, but I thought he was really cool, so I wanted to join. And then I told mom, and then yeah, she made it happen. It was really cool.
We were in the Super Target parking lot, and I saw the sign of Ripple Effect, and we just live across Ziegler from there. And so I called the number, and I guess they had told us later that they had just turned on the phones. And when we called, they're kind of like, whoa. So it was fun. And then when we went for his intro, I had Grace and Marilyn with me, and Master Macy said, "Hey, Grace, why don't you come out on the floor too?" And so she jumped on the floor too. And that was it. They were both hooked. And the rest of us didn't join until Marilyn turned 3. She was about 3.5, and it was February of 14. And so we had seen them having fun. It looked fun. It looked easy. It was deceivingly looking easy. It really isn't easy at all.
Back then, it was you and the instructor and the mats and the mirrors, basically, right?
Yes, that things weren't painted on the walls quite yet. And
I remember the classes being so that there just weren't, there wasn't anyone there. There's sometimes it's just us. Slowly people started trickling in.
Mhm.
Now they're, bursting at the seams, overflowing. But back then it was nice. It was like we had the whole floor to ourselves. Um, there just weren't that many people there.
All right. So, Marilyn, you were 3.5 when you started. So you're about 13 now. Is that right?
Yeah, about almost 13.
Do you remember being kind of a focus, just being so young and so intense out on those mats and showcasing forms and stuff like that? Do you have memories of that?
I have a couple like bigger memories of those types of things when like either it was like embarrassing or I was like doing well and stuff. And I just have a couple memories of those. Yeah.
I remember Master Macy putting her on top of a table so that everyone could see, and have her do the black belt words of the belt. And she was, I don't know, how old was she?
5, I think maybe.
Yeah, maybe 5.
I remember that really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you there?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. That was amazing. And for anybody who doesn't know, what does that mean? Reciting the words of the belt.
I think like reciting like what each belt kind of means, it kind of has like a meaning behind it, I think.
Positive self-dimension and positive self-discipline, and to be so young and to memorize and have any comprehension of these things, it was just a sight to behold. Really amazing. Joseph, what do you remember about the intensity, the photographs of you from those old days? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's just intense. You were very young. And what do you remember about summoning that kind of
Yeah.
intensity?
Yeah, I don't know. I love doing it. I love being there. I felt really connected with everyone else there, and I just felt like I could do almost whatever I wanted when I was there. I could really put in everything I had into what we were doing. Um, I don't know. It was just the greatest place to let my not not my emotions out, but my what I had built in me. But yeah, it was so fun doing all that.
As parents, do you feel that too? That kind of physical exhilaration?
Well, I gotta say, as the parent, even before we joined, we'd go to, I think the CKA tournaments were the first ones. I think we weren't in, but they had gone to one. And I remember being like, of course you're really proud, but it's like, wow, look at these guys. So, Joseph's got his intensity, Grace, super flexible, kicking all over the place. And then later on, when we see Marilyn in there, it's just like, look at how young she is, and yet she's doing it, doing the thing. Even Jenny, it's like, she's remembering all this stuff. I don't remember stuff quite like her, but it was just impressive to see like everyone doing so well and performing and doing things that a couple of years ago it just wouldn't have crossed my mind that we could do it. Yeah, it was just really neat to see all that.
Are you guys an athletic family, or before you started karate, were you running track or playing tennis or anything like that?
Well, let's see, what were we into? I think we were into gymnastics for a little bit, or no, yeah, gymnastics.
But not us, but the
Ballet.
kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were.
Yeah. No, we weren't in anything. I was in choir. I'm in choirs. I sing, I mean, we run for exercise, and we'd work out and do dance aerobics or something like that. And then the kids were in soccer and ballet before, but that's about it. But since during it, we found out how well they were at running, for example. Like Joseph would be up with Mr. Robinson during black belt tests, and he was so short, and he was doing so great. So they learned a lot about what they enjoyed. And also, I think it really helped them in their middle school sports, to be so flexible, to be so fast on their feet, balanced, aggressive. What do you think, guys? Like, I see them all, they did basketball, volleyball, track, and cross country. And
yeah, the skills that you gained from karate really transferred everywhere, because I mean, the agility that you needed in basketball, for instance, was just, it was incredible. I don't know. I was maybe a lot lighter than a lot of the other kids, but I was a lot stronger for my body weight than a lot of them, which helped me so much in track, in basketball. It was just really, really amazing. But yeah.
I love how you mentioned aggression, because that's a thing, right? Karate about fighting. How do you, use be aggressive in sparring, and even breaking a board or something? And I think in something like basketball, aggression is a necessary tool to be able to help your team win. What do you think about that? How does aggression manifest itself in karate, I guess, for you guys? Even in an individual form or something. Like if you think about weapons training, some of the weapons forms.
Yeah, not being timid, not being afraid to try something, or, to do something that you haven't ever done before. And yeah, not worry about what's going to happen, not having that limit you at all. And then also just way to hone it and focus it to something productive, versus it just being wild, like flailing or like a cat fight. It's more of honing your aggression, and being like having black belt, what do they call it, guys, again, where you know how to control your power? Black belt control, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, just the intensity was needed in a lot of like forms for tournaments. That was almost, that was the thing that I always used, was just, I wasn't the most flexible, but after knowing this, after learning the form well enough, it just became how much energy you can put into it. And then it show itself. Yeah.
And
I would say some of the aggression even goes beyond karate. Let me say aggression and focus. Some of the things that you've learned in karate, and I'll use Marilyn as an example because she's here. She's in track in middle school, and there's a big difference between how I'm the coach. She's one of the kids. There's a big difference between how she listens and attacks the training and just the way she carries herself and almost everyone else. And I think a lot of that has to do with going through karate and going through the discipline and learning self-motivation. I mean, she's a very motivated kid. She trains on her own in running now, and she's really good.
All of our kids are very self-motivated and
Yeah,
self-disciplined. I think Grace might be getting on.
Oh, good.
Your name. Yeah.
Hey, Grace.
Hi.
What's up? Grace has joined the podcast too. This is awesome. And we're just talking about the last 10 years of karate and your life and where you are now. It's about that, General. But yeah, welcome to the discussion. Grace, what do you remember about the early days 10 years ago when you started with Joseph at the time?
I was very new, pretty intense, honestly. Just getting into something new at any point is really difficult, but they made it pretty easy process to get into. I felt very welcomed and very accommodated, and it was a lot of fun.
I don't think I ever saw you without a smile on your face, honestly. And all those photographs from the time, you were always smiling, which is really interesting when you're throwing those punches and going through those forms. And there's, stress there when you're at a tournament or a test and you've got to remember all those forms. Was it fun?
I mean, like, maybe not fun in the traditional sense. Oh, wow, I'm enjoying myself now. But I mean, like, it was fun in the sense that this was one of the best times of my life. I loved doing it. I loved meeting new people. I loved doing it with the people I met. It was just very much a time of growth for me. And I know I really enjoyed it.
Master Macy's idea at the beginning was he's the head instructor. We get some more instructors, and then we teach students to lead and instruct as they earn their black belts and beyond. And that was very much the case for me from you guys when I was earning my black belt. I remember the nunchuck form specifically. Mrs. Wade, you really patiently helped me understand what was happening there. And, 5 years before, you had started your black belt journey, and it's a great thing. Do you guys still feel that leadership element in that way? Do you display it, or how does it work for you?
Absolutely. We're still involved in the school. We still help out with black belt tests for little parts of it. Like we ran the running Saturday morning run, or we help out with progress checks. We help out a lot. Alan especially helps a lot with the tournament preparation beforehand. And Grace was an instructor for a year and 2 years, right?
2 years.
Yes. And then we've all the kids did. Joseph and Grace both did junior instructors for several years. And
how was that experience for you guys? Joseph and Grace, the junior instructor program, what was that like?
Yeah, it was really fun. You were with a bunch of like-minded people. The environment was really nice. It was a little more strict because you really needed to, this was about, I guess, caring for the school in general. So you really needed to know what you were doing, but it was still great. I learned a ton from it. Really just the confidence that they tried to build in you and the humility they tried to build in you that comes with being a leader it was great. It just taught me so many things that you really need to know when just even talking to people normally, but especially when you're in I guess, a place of power or a place of leadership where you don't know, you might not know, especially at the age that we were at, you might not know how to deal with that. You might not know how to do the best job with the other person, but it showed you what you needed to do, what you should do to help the other person learn in the most effective way, and then also help yourself in the sense of how to just convey yourself in the best way possible to them.
Just to remind everybody, we're talking people who are 13, 14, 15 years old in these kind of roles with a class full of young kids, adults, and you're an authority. I mean, that's a lot. Even taking a retail job, you're in charge of the cash register. There's a lot that can go wrong there, right? I mean, it's intimidating. Do you guys have any stories about like humility? Were there ever a time when you had to be humble? Do you remember anything like that?
I have. I would always hate teaching like Little Ripples classes. I want to say hate as much as dislike, just because they're kids and take a whole lot of energy to stay focused. And for the first time, I had less energy than the people I was teaching, which was very difficult for me to sort of rein them in and keep the class going as it was supposed to. So I sort of had to learn to change my energy depending on the people I'm teaching.
That's really interesting. How did you do that? What did you summon to do that?
Not really sure. I guess just I didn't necessarily have to bring up my energy to where they were at so much as bring their energy down to where I was at. So being able to allow them to expel their energy in a productive way or just get some wiggles out made it a lot easier for me to match.
I see Mrs. Wade, you're nodding there. That is a very parental kind of thing, right? I mean,
Right.
the energy and how do we make it productive? Yeah. Did you feel as you're raising these kids, you had some people on your side in karate?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I think I also noticed it on the floor when I'd be swatting. Parents on the side watching their child you would almost be afraid to like correct someone else's child, or not even so much correct as just refocus them or whatever. But I'd hear after class, "Oh, thank you," or they were we were all on the same team, I guess you would say, and everyone had a similar purpose and wanted to get the most out of the class and watch their child grow, and they weren't gonna pretend that there weren't some challenges with that.
Do you guys have any memories of that like really stand out, like a board break or a tournament performance or just something in a class or somebody that you helped or moved? Any memories along those lines?
There was one really fun memory that I had. I was, I think, swatting or junior instructing at the time, and I was helping out one specific student for the class. And during it, he had gotten injured somehow. I forget how, but he had gotten hurt, and I was really nervous that the parent would be really mad at me because I don't know if I caused it or not, but I was in charge of the kid, and then he got hurt. So afterward, I tried to leave the class pretty quickly afterward. And Master Macy called me, and I was a little nervous that he'd be upset with me. But afterward, he said, I forget the name of the student, but he had such a great time during the class. He loved the class. It was so energetic. It was so fun. And I thought that was just so nice. I don't know, just seeing how much fun he had. Because it was a great class. I loved it. I was just a little nervous that I was, I guess, gonna be in a little bit of trouble with that. But he just, apparently the student just loved the class still. And then his parents talked to me about the same thing afterward. And it just made it feel so nice that I got to really know the kid, and I got to know his family and how they all just kind of showed how much they appreciated it.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Marilyn, you have any memories that stand out?
Um, yeah, actually, so I forget how old I was, but it wasn't too long ago. I was like 7 or 8, but it was a board break, and I wasn't in a specific group yet, so I still had my board and I hadn't gone to break it yet. So Master Macy found this out, and he had like every student like huddle up, take a knee, and he called me out. And so he was like, "You haven't broken your board yet, have you?" I'm like, "No." And so he's like, "Why don't we try it?" And so I break that one, and then he's like, "Why don't we go up one?" And so we go up the next size of the board. I broke that, and I kept going until the last the last size. And I still have the board in my room. But yeah, it was just a really great experience. About he like really pushed me and was so energetic with like everyone cheering me on. And it really helped me break all of those boards, which I thought I could never do. But yeah.
That is awesome. What technique did you use to break those boards? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it was a sidekick. I don't think I did any punches or anything. I would have hurt my wrist or something. But yeah, yeah, he just really pushed me and it worked very well.
Anybody who has attended any of those board breaks, the intensity is just, you kind of wonder how the building is still standing after. That's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you feel that kind of intensity in your kind of your interactions in daily life? Like, what's that like to bring that kind of experience and that confidence to track and field, for example?
Um, I remember it was just the last cross country meet I had. It was my first cross country meet actually of this year and my first one ever technically to be on a team. And I placed first in it and the girls. And I remember when I was running through, I was sprinting to the finish line. I remember like everyone, like my whole team was on the side. They're like screaming and cheering me on. And I felt like the exact same energy there, if not more. And it was just really encouraging. And it totally pushed me to finish, to get that. Like I went very fast towards the end.
Great, congratulations! That is awesome. Grace, what are you studying in school?
Mechanical engineering.
Wow, that's where you're going, huh? That's amazing.
And
Yeah.
she
Yeah, you
has
should
a
tell them the
ROTC
rest too.
scholarship. Yeah, tell them.
Yeah, I have a ROTC scholarship, so I'm gonna go into the army after.
Wow, that is very intense. How do you feel the karate experience was that motivating for you to go into the armed forces or
Yeah, no, I consider myself very lucky that I did get into Taekwondo when I did, because over the course of those 10-ish years, that's really what sort of ignited the passion I had for leadership and military service. Because I know for certain that if I wasn't in Taekwondo, I would not consider this as a viable career option. But alas, I did. And now I'm here, and I feel much more prepared than a lot of people probably are, just because I have all of that leadership experience under my belt and I'm able to sort of go into it having some sense of what it'll be like.
you've been pushed? Yeah, you've been really challenged a lot. You all have, and the family dynamic is just so amazing.
I think probably one of the most memorable parts has been all of the different prep cycles and black belt weekends that we've tested together for, or prepared for together for, and then the bonding that we had with the people we prepared with and the instructors who helped us get there. And that was a kind of almost like it's like a bit of a trauma that you all have a shared trauma with, but it was a very positive trauma. But that's where I'm like, I have no doubt that these kids can do whatever they want to do. They've already gone through something so hard and persevered, and if they want to do it, they'll do it. I know.
Thank you for listening to the Ripple Effect Martial Arts Podcast. Find episodes and more at rippleeffectmartialarts.com.